everyone. This video I'm looking at the MLB picks for tonight. We have 13 game slates. I believe it's 12 games actually with one postponed. But anyway, we have a bunch of baseball games today. For NBA, it's just a 4-gamer. And there's going to be a lot of question marks on the NBA slate, so I'm just going to hold off on making a video. I'll tweet out some plays that I'd like. Hopefully we'll get some, still have a lot of questionable players on like the Heat and the Pacers, and we'll see what the starting lineups look like for some of them, for some of these teams. So I'll just tweet out some picks on Twitter maybe in a couple hours for NBA, but for baseball today, it's pretty easy to break it down. I think more people might be looking at baseball today with all the question marks in the NBA slate. So let's get started. As always, appreciate to hit the like button on the video and subscribe if you have not already. It is a core slate today, but it's a full slate. There are some other good offenses to look at. So play cores if you want. I will just touch on some of the other teams that I like besides cores. So you have the Yankees. Still don't know who's pitching, but obviously they're not expecting a good pitcher with them having a 6-run total. And then we have the Mets against Spencer Howard. Spencer Howard is one of the Phillies' best prospects. He got hit around in his first start against the Braves. He might not be ready for the major leagues, but the Phillies have high hopes for him, so I'm not that into the Mets stack. I love the Indian stack against Ivan Nova. Nova doesn't strike people out, gives up like some fly balls, gives up hard contact, so I like the Indian stack, especially Jose Ramirez. And they're expensive, so I don't think they'll be super popular, but I love Jose Ramirez, Lindor. They're both above 5,000, so I don't think they'll get too much ownership today. And then we have the Twins. Look good against Jakob Younis. Younis gives up some home runs. He gives up a lot of fly balls. So the Twins, if they get some ownership, they might not be my favorite stack, but you got to look at like Kepler and Cruz and Rosario. They have a lot of power. And Buxton at the bottom of the lineup is only 3,500. He's been hitting the cover off the ball. He never gets ownership because he hits at the bottom of the lineup. And then you have the Rangers. I like the Rangers a lot more than the Rockies. Lynn is a good pitcher, and he gives up a good amount of ground balls. I'm not that into the Rockies stack. I would rather go to the Rangers stack, although they have had one of the worst offenses in MLB this year. They really struggle to score runs. Maybe Coors will be the recipe today, but there's always a bunch of other offenses that you can look at on a 12-game slate. And then I like the Astros a lot against Kikuchi. Kikuchi has changed some things up this year. So far, he hasn't given up a home run, and he's gotten a lot of ground balls. But the Astros are one of the best teams in baseball against left-handed pitching. Last year, they were at the top with Springer, massive splits, Altuve, massive splits, Bregman, massive splits, Correa, big splits, Gurriel hits lefties well. So I like the Astros stack a lot today, and then the Dodgers look good against Sandoval, a lefty. You have Turner hits lefties well, Pollock mashes lefties at 3,400. Kike Hernandez, 3,900, hits lefties well. I think he might even be up in the batting order. Against lefties, he usually bats higher. I could see him bat over like Chris Taylor. And then that's kind of it. I'm not really interested in anybody else. Maybe you could look at some A's, but don't normally like to play a stack in San Francisco. It's just a really big ballpark, great for pitching. So starting off at pitcher today, I think you could look at DeGrom if you want, or Cole. You're going to sacrifice some of your hitters if you pay all the way up. And there's a lot of good pitchers on the slate. So I might just go in like 2 mid-range or 2 second-tier pitchers instead of paying all the way up for Cole or DeGrom. I think that Sonny Gray looks good against Pittsburgh, 9,600. He's been great. The Reds have 3 really good pitchers. I could go to Sonny Gray if you want. If not, you could go to Dinelson Lamet, who's going to be one of the best young pitchers in baseball. He's already one of the best young pitchers. He's going to be one of the best pitchers in baseball, if not, in the next couple years, if not like at the end of this year. I mean, he is just so good. Doesn't give up hits. Doesn't give up many walks. He strikes out a ton. This year he has 28 strikeouts in 22 innings. Just giving up 12 hits during that stretch. 7 walks. Opponents are hitting 154 against him. He's facing an Arizona team that he absolutely just rolled over. He's already faced them twice, and he's put up 25 fantasy points and 37. His only concern with him is that they like to limit his pitches. You're not going to see him normally get to 100 pitches, but the price tag is discounted for him. I mean, he should be at least 10,000, I would say. If you're gonna have like DeGrom and Cole all the way up there, I mean, he should at least be 10,000. And I think he can, even in 80, 90 pitches, he can still be one of the best pitchers on the slate. So I'll still go with Dinelson Lamet. And then I like Frankie Montas at 8,400. Montas also, we could see him. Sometimes he can get to 100 pitches, but normally he's going to get to like 80s, close to 90s. Good strikeout stuff for him as well. The Giants are not the highest strikeout rate in MLB this year. They're like middle of the pack, but still like Frankie Montas. Price tag is discounted. Has huge upside and big time strikeout stuff. So the Lement Montas combo gives you a ton of strikeout upside facing off against two mediocre offenses, and both have so much talent. And then I'm definitely not touching Lance Lynn, not touching Savali, not touching Chatwood. If you want to go with a cheap pitcher, there's nobody that really strikes my interest. Maybe go with a $4,000 Spencer Howard and hope that he kind of bounces back because he has some talent. He threw 81 pitches, and maybe his first start he just was just nervous, had some jitters, but I expect him to bounce back, and at only 4,000 could be a good value play. And then for stacks today, could look at Coors. Obviously, Coors looks good. And then I like the Yankees a bit. I like the Indians a lot. I like the Dodgers and Astros. So starting off at second base, have Kike Hernandez at under 4,000, 3,900. Right now he's projected about like 8th. I think he will probably bat a bit higher. Even if he's at 8, might get less ownership. But normally against lefties, they have him like a 6th at least. And he's always been good against lefties. For his career, has really good numbers. This year he's batting, it's only 11 at bats, but the home run that he had this year was against a lefty on opening day. Last season he had 7 home runs and 176 at bats, had a 40 points higher batting average, had a 160 ISO, strikeout rate was 8% lower. Go back to 2018, he had a 260 average. Career-wise, his average is like 45 points higher. The ISO is a 215 career ISO against lefties. The hard hit rate is 38%. Fly ball is about 40%. So he looks good. I like the Dodgers against Sandoval today. Third base, I like Jose Ramirez. Don't think he'll get a lot of ownership just because it's expensive today, but I like him a lot against Ivan Nova. Look at Nova's stats. He's just not scary. Gives up a lot of hits. Doesn't strike people out. So the Tigers don't have a great bullpen either, so I feel decent about the Indians. Their offense has been really slow this year, but Ramirez is still having a good year. Him and Lindor have been good, and Reyes, Fremel Reyes has started to get it going this year, or started to get it going lately, last couple weeks. But he's given up a 5.14 slugging, 3.14 average to lefties this year. Career-wise, gives up hits, gives up a high slugging, and xFIP is 5.41. Home run is 2+ per 9. The fly ball rate actually been decent at getting ground balls, but gives up a 40+% hard hit rate. So I do like Jose Ramirez, switch hitter. I think he can take Nova deep in this one, maybe. And then in the outfield, we have George Springer, super cheap against a lefty. And normally you're going to get Springer at a expensive price tag whenever he's facing left-handed pitching. He's been disappointing this year, but this is a good spot for him. He's also struggled in Houston, but he's been a little bit better recently. 2 home runs in his last 10 games, batting .250. But he's also another guy that is just really good against left-handed pitching. For this season, he's been decent, I believe. For his career, I think this season he struggled, but for his career, he's been good. Actually, this year he's been decent. 214 average, 2 home runs and 16 at bats. Last season he batted .272. The ISO was not the best last season against lefties, but 2018 he batted .285. 2017 he batted .301 career-wise. About 10 points higher average. ISO is about 28 points higher. Strikeouts are a bit lower. Springer looks good, especially at a $4,600 price tag. And then last but not least, another lefty masher is AJ Pollock. He's having a great season for the Dodgers so far. He's only 3,400. He's batting .286 with 5 home runs. Recently, he's been decent with 3 home runs in his last 10 games. And he's another guy that hits lefty super well. Sandoval's not, maybe he'll be good in a couple years, but right now he's not the best pitcher. And the Dodgers have one of the scariest offenses in baseball. So this season, he's 6 for 12 against lefties with 4 extra base hits. 2019, he batted .323 against lefties with 6 home runs and 99 at-bats. 2018, struggled a bit, but career-wise, .284 average, solid numbers for the ISO at .226, only a 15% K rate. Like Pollock a lot, especially at this cheap price point. So that's it for DraftKings. Feel good about these 6 plays, and then FanDuel is pretty similar, but just go ahead and touch on their pricing. Okay, over on FanDuel at pitcher, we have DeGrom, Garrett Cole at the top, no surprise. Sonny Gray's at 10.8. Then you have Dinelson Lamet at 92. Frankie Montas at 88. You have Valdez at 86. And then I think Spencer Howard is super cheap if you want to go with a super punt and just stack up all the good hitters. Yeah, it's 5,500. But I'm going to go with probably Dinelson Lamet again. Either Lamet or Montas, I think, on FanDuel gives you enough that you can still pay up for enough bats and still go with enough cheap bats that you feel good about your lineup. Third base between Bregman and Jose Ramirez. Going to go back to Jose Ramirez. Just feel like he's going to have a very good game today against Ivan Nova, against a pitcher that doesn't strike guys out. Gives up, can get some ground balls, but Ramirez also can steal bases. He only has 1 stolen base on the season, but we all know that Ramirez can run when he's given the opportunity, and definitely think he looks good today. And then at shortstop, have you have Lindor at 36, looks decent. Have 32 for Trey Turner, looks pretty good. But I think Carlos Correa might also get a bit overlooked. He's also very good against left-handed pitching. He bats like 6, so pretty good part of a stack. I think Brantley might be questionable today, so might move up a bit. But I like Correa. He's having a good year, especially a lot better than like Altuve. And then in the outfield, I will go with back to AJ Pollock, who's super cheap at $29 or $2,900. Matches lefties, hits for power, hits in a good part in the batting order. Perfect, as a guy to fill out in a part of a stack if you want, or just as a one-off. And then last but not least, you have like Fredmil Reyes is pretty inexpensive. You have George Springer down to $37. So I'll go with George Springer. I mean, I love playing him against lefties. He's having a pretty disappointing year, but he's still been decent with the power with 3 home runs, and he still bats leadoff, so should get good at bats here. I don't know if the roof will be open because it's supposed to be super hot, but if it is, the ball should carry. It's supposed to be hot in Houston and humid, so hopefully the roof is open. If not, I mean, it's not the end of the world. So that's pretty much it for the video. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. You can hit the like button if you enjoyed, and good luck today.